Hey guys, and today I will show you what I believe is probably the most affordable and easiest way to deploy and manage your Kubernetes cluster. I ended up building my own native application that runs on my laptop directly, and that helps me basically do all the automation related to cluster creation, management, and application publishing. So let's jump straight into the first demo. So here you can see the app's main dashboard. I go to the clusters section. I already have two of my clusters created, but in order to add a new one, I just need to provide an IP address and SSH keys of this VPS server. And the most affordable option, in my opinion, since I'm based in Europe right now, is, for example, to use Hetzner. I'm not affiliated here. I'm using it myself for my production applications, and I can run. Basically, I can deploy my cluster for as little as 3.79 euros a month. And I'm not getting the worst configuration. It's 4 GB of memory, and probably I get around one full CPU processor running all the time. So once I'm creating, I also need to add my SSH key here. And you can use the following command to generate your SSH keys. Okay, no need for these things. So I have two of my keys generated. All right, great. So I will upload them to my Hetzner cloud. All right, so in my clusters dashboard, I click on Add Cluster. Here I have to provide the IP address of my newly created VPS server, and for the key, that's on my desktop right now. I'm clicking on plus sign to add the node to the list, and basically the only thing I have to do is to click on Create Cluster. Alright, once my cluster is created, I can go to the apps dashboard, and here's where I can create my first application by clicking on Add App. That will be a PHP application. So here I'm selecting my cluster, and registers are provided by Kenzap, but you can override with your own. And for the image, I'm searching for PHP. And the Docker file is generated here down below. I want to modify my image to use the Apache, and I'm clicking on Create button. Oh, I need to provide a longer title. Yeah. Okay, I'm creating the app. Okay, once my application is created, I can actually publish the whole thing directly into the cluster. So first, I also want to stress on the thing that here we have the endpoints. You can customize them. You can provide your URL, but just make sure that you point that to the IP address of your cluster. And you can disable the endpoint, or you can add more endpoints in case you want to have different URLs for the same application, or you want to differentiate your APIs, for example. So right now I will click on this icon, which is responsible for publishing. Now the image is being compiled and published to the registries. And then the Kubernetes cluster will pull the image and create the deployment of this application. Here I have another icon that brings me to my project. So here I can see my application configuration files. So the app.yaml is basically where I'm declaring the deployment for Kubernetes cluster. Here we can also see the resources, how much I'm allocating, the memory, and 10M, which means actually 1% of the CPU, which is really tiny portion. Dev space is the one that helps me do the CI/CD automation and publish things directly to the cluster, restart containers, update the deployment. Docker file is where you define your Docker application. And finally, we have the kubeconfig here. Gives us the access to the cluster. Right, let me go back. So I have here my endpoint, and I can copy my endpoint and see how things working online. So what I can see here doesn't look promising, some kind of an error, but that's because I haven't provided any files to run for this particular application. So what I'm going to do next is I open the folder, and here underscores is where everything is stored. So basically what I have to do, I have to create the file. Let's call this file index.php. Yeah, if I open the file and type echo, hey there, I click on save. Well, obviously nothing is going to happen because I'm creating this file locally. But there is one magical feature that I extremely love to use every single time that I'm deploying my applications. So when I'm clicking on this icon, I'm synchronizing file of this particular application from my laptop to the cluster and vice versa. So now if I refresh my URL, I can see, hey there, text. So anyway, let me change it to hello world. Okay, yeah, I already know what I want to type. And I go back and refresh, changes are reflected immediately. In such a way, you can build your APIs, you can build your complex applications, and the great advantage here is that your development environment is as close to the production as possible. Everything is available here, open source, just feel free to use that. And also, thank you for watching, and I hope your feedback will be useful. Don't forget to hit me like. Thanks.